You are listening to a recording from the Cooperating to Build a Better Nova Scotia conference in Halifax, a celebration marking the United Nations International Year of Cooperatives.
Okay, I'm at the Plan B Merchant Co-op on Gottingen Street. What's the address here?
2180.
2180 Gottingen Street, under the men's bar.
Yep.
And there's a couple people around. I'm standing here with Stacey. Well, you can introduce yourself.
Right. I'm Stacey LePage, and I'm one of the founders of Plan B Merchants Co-op.
Great. And what's your store in here?
It's called Toxic Blossom. I'm looking right at the microphone. It's really weird. It's called Toxic Blossom, and I do Japanese street fashion.
Japanese street fashion. How does that play out here in Halifax? Is there a big following, kind of culture around it?
More than you would think, actually. There's a few different groups that meet up on a monthly or bi-monthly basis, and we do fashion shows in Moncton every summer at a big convention, so it has a bit of a following.
Right on. Do you want to take me over to your spot and tell me about some of the stuff that you got in there?
That would be great.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we're walking through, it's kind of like a maze of everything in here. Clothes and pictures and furniture and... Okay, so we're in Toxic Blossom space.
Yes. We like to do colorful, and what's in Japan right now is a lot of pastels, so we're kind of feeding off of that and doing a lot of pastel accessories and skirts and that sort of thing. But then there's also a bit of darker stuff on the Japanese street fashion is like a huge thing. There's, it goes from goth to bright frilly clothes, so we try to touch a little bit on each thing, but it's kind of hard because it's such a large category.
Yeah. And you guys make some of the clothes, right?
We make most of the clothes. Some of them we've just modified. We have a couple other clothing makers that send us their clothing. A girl in Toronto sends us her stuff, and we also import some stuff from Japan, mostly just accessories and stationery.
Cool. What's like some of your best sellers?
I would say we sell a lot of rings and bobby pins. A lot of accessories sell, probably because of the price point's a bit lower, but also because little kids can also get involved with it and have the cute hair clips. And we've been hand making earmuffs for the last 2 years, and those sell really well. So.
Oh yeah, earmuffs, eh?
Yeah,
like
fuzzy fur earmuffs.
Oh, yeah. Neat. The hats and stuff too.
They're renting space from Toxic Blossom.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Cool. So I love these hats. I really want one for Christmas.
They're made in Vancouver, and they mail them out to us.
Oh, they're made in Vancouver, are they?
These ones up here up top, and the ones down the bottom here, you see this stuff is all done by a girl who's local.
Wow, there's mittens too. You should see these. They're like polar bear claw mittens. They are so cool.
They're all done local, and she actually sews them by hand entirely.
Wow. So no machine manufacturing here.
And her prices are amazing on these things, considering the amount of time she puts into them.
Yeah.
Really impressed.
Right on. Cool. So you're one of the founders of Plan B?
Yep.
What was kind of like the inspiration for it?
We wanted, all of us who helped start it up kind of wanted our own storefront but couldn't afford it. Mm-hmm. So we just decided that if we pooled our resources and started a co-op, then we could easily have a storefront.
Yeah.
And not have to be burdened with hiring employees or having to man the shop 7 days a week.
Right.
So just take turns, and it works out pretty well.
Cool. And the co-op model is working for you? I mean, is this kind of like an experimental thing? Do you know of many other retail co-ops around?
As far as I know, we're one of the only ones. I know when we went to fill out the paperwork, they hadn't used that paperwork before at the co-op board. So we're one of, if not the first, then one of the earlier, like one of the few merchants co-ops. And it seems to be working really well for us. We only make money off what we sell.
Right.
So, none of us are really, fighting for hours so we get paid, and we're all just working on getting along, and it's been really fun. We meet a lot of cool people, and we have about 50 businesses in here right now.
Wow. But are they all co-op members, or how many members are in the co-op?
I think there are about 7 of us as actual co-op members, and the rest of the people are renting space.
Right on. Cool. I'm going to wander over and talk to Bob. too. Hi, Bob.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Bob is standing behind the counter, and I'm facing the wall, and I see two deer heads that are quite interestingly decorated. Are these guys your mascots, or what's the deal with the deer heads?
Well, these deer, as you can't see on the radio, are sporting wigs and hats and earrings and little fur boas. But I'm not sure if you're familiar with, like the destruction of natural habitat for animals. And we have a lot of what were previously wild animals are starting to adapt to urban living. Well, these deer are actually like urban deer. And they've adopted the use of wigs and hats and things to just sort of blend in with crowds on streets. They tend to eat at say like art openings or theater openings where there's buffets generally set out, and most people don't notice when they're grazing on, say, the cheese section or something, and if they do, they just think that they're probably actors because you know how boorish their manners can be. We caught these two down at Neptune Theater just last year.
Oh, excellent. Interesting. So you are the president of the Plan B Merchant Co-op and also, of course, a vendor here. Tell us about your store.
My shop is the Monkey's Paw Curio Shop.
Do you want to walk back down there?
Sure,
okay.
Let's go down.
So the Monkey's Paw, give us the background of the name.
It's based on that wonderful short story from 1905 where you have a fellow wandering into a little curiosity shop and buying a desiccated monkey's paw that carries with it the ability to grant wishes, but the wishes come with a price. What you wish for you may not really want, and there you go. But we thought that would be perfect. It's exactly the sort of store I always wanted to visit, would be that shop where he bought that monkey's paw. So
yes, we're in the space now, and it's just jam-packed wall to wall with oddities and curiosities. There's a Darth Vader lamp in the corner whose eyes are staring at me. It almost looks like one of those ceramic Christmas trees that you used to put the little plastic balls in.
That's exactly the idea behind it, and it dates to it's like a 1978.
Right on. So you only do like antiques kind of here, stuff that's been around the block for a while?
Vintage and retro stuff is specifically what I go for, and things like I said, as far as an oddity shop go, we're the only oddity store in Eastern Canada.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Cool. So you wanna show us like what are kind of like your best sellers around here?
The best sellers I find are generally things like my taxidermy.
Lots of taxidermy.
Especially the freak taxidermy.
Right. So can you describe for our listeners what freak taxidermy is?
The proper term would probably be cryptozoological taxidermy.
Okay.
But freak taxidermy certainly gets the point across a little better. And one example will be up here. I have a little hamster with wings.
Yes, you do. Stuck in a little tree.
He's got his little tree up there.
And kind of like a vase. It's quite a nice piece. It must be conversation piece, hey?
Exactly. These are all guaranteed conversation starters.
So like for somebody who, wants to have that thing in their house that, nobody's seen before.
Exactly. And I mean, nobody has ever seen this before.
And are you the cryptozoological taxidermist?
Well, I dabble.
Okay.
I dabble. But there are others who are far better than myself.
Right.
And you do get some wonderful items. I just, in fact, got in. Again, as far as I can understand, I haven't seen one anywhere else in Canada for sale, a two-headed rabbit.
Wow. That's really interesting. A two-headed rabbit. Where do you think that came from?
Well, I'm not at liberty to say.
Oh, okay. You got to protect your sources, hey?
Exactly.
So, do people bring this stuff into you? How do you acquire your stuff?
I'm always hunting, endlessly hunting.
So just kind of like, give us an example of like some of the places where you might scoop some of this stuff up. Do you do the Storage Wars thing?
Sorta. I go to auctions, and I do go to estate sales. I have pickers that come by to sell me stuff. I travel circuits of antique shops, flea markets, anywhere where I can think I can get something. Check the ads in the papers, Kijiji. Anywhere. You got to have multiple lines in the water to catch stuff.
Yes, indeed. Okay, cool. Well, I'm just going to wander around a bit more, maybe talk to Josh in the back if he's here. And there's an art gallery in here, and we'll be talking to Bob on air. Probably we'll play this first, and then you'll be live in the studio, and hopefully you'll bring a couple of interesting items to tell us some stories about.
Sure, happy to.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Bob.
No problem, thank you.
Okay, so we're at the back of Plan B. There's a puppy in here, and this is the 99 to 1 Cafe and Parentheses Gallery, and there's two vendors here. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
I'm Nick Pigeon.
And what's the business that you work with here?
I do Felt So Good finger puppets, and I also am a coffee minion.
A coffee minion. This is the 99 to 1 Cafe. Do you know the story behind the name of the cafe? No? Okay. We won't go there then. And someone else is sitting here with me, and you're also a seller here?
Align bought retro video games.
Retro video games? That's pretty cool. What kind of, give me an idea of, what, because, video games are kind of new anyway, so, what would classify a retro video game?
At this point, anything that's not the newest on the scene.
Okay, so kind of like early Nintendo. What about, Atari? Are we talking that retro, like Commodore 64, or more the kind of 80s, 90s game systems?
It's all here, like Atari, Commodore, Super Nintendo. There's a little bit of everything.
Cool. So how'd you get into doing this? Because you're a pretty young guy. How old are you?
Around 23.
Around 23. So you're 23 and you're a small business kind of owner and entrepreneur. So how did you kind of get into this?
I just always had an eye for finding rare video games. I don't know, it's kind of strange, but they always just showed up one way or the other, and I knew they'd be worth more money down the road, so I held on to a lot of stuff that I just came across, as a kid or just whatever, and there's just a real market for it now.
Yeah. So business is going well then?
Yeah, more and more customers, as they find out I'm here, they buy something, they always come back.
Yeah. Right on. Cool, your space is kind of neat. Do you want to walk up to your space and show me a couple of things that you got? I'll be back. We're walking through the gallery. There's a new installation in here. This is really nice. All kinds of pastel, kind of abstract art going on. Shapes. Walking through the record store. What is this? Is it Black Buffalo? Black Buffalo Records. Okay, it's really quite like a maze up here. Okay, now we're up into Sean's space. So, what? Oh, I see you have a video game system set up.
Nintendo 64. I think Bob was playing Battle Tanks last, so that's what we're seeing. We have the TV set up so you can test and play your games before you buy them.
Oh, nice. Well, that's a good idea, especially when you're dealing with secondhand products. I suspect that your customers really appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. We test them ourselves, but allowing the customer to do it themselves, there's no question whether it's going to work or not. So.
Yeah. What's the game that gets played most here? Do you think that there is one? You could name that?
In the store?
Yeah.
Well, it's usually just me and Bob playing Star Wars games. Not any one in particular, but as long as there's a Star Wars game here, it's usually what we're playing.
Right. And then this is just kind of set up for anyone who wants to come in and just sit down and play. If one of their friends are looking around and they kind of don't want to, then they can just zone out on video games.
Oh yeah, I mean, you don't have to be buying something to come in and just enjoy what's set up. Like if you're in the store and everybody else is looking around, you can just sit down and throw in Mario and play whatever you want.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for talking to us. It's really nice to see young people doing so well and getting into business for themselves and all that. Are you one of the co-op members, or do you just rent space?
Yeah, I'm one of the board members. I'm not really sure what we're calling it at this point, but I like to be involved in whatever's going on in the store.
Yeah, cool. Right on. Well, thanks, Sean. Lionbot.
Thank you.